Another story that is flying under the radar of the mainstream media is the resignation of a high-ranking Google employee who has decided to quit the company after harassment that they have received over spending a year trying to get the company to stop censoring Palestinian voices. Ariel Cohen, a marketing manager, has announced her resignation from the company for a hostile working environment due to her social activism. She has long been a supporter of Palestinian rights and opposed to the genocide being carried out by Israel. I am leaving Google this week due to retaliation and hostility against workers who speak out. Google moved my role overseas immediately after I opposed its $1 billion AI surveillance contracts with Israel, and this is far from an isolated incident. Her opposition is to the $1.2 billion contract currently being carried out with the apartheid state of Israel, its military, and with Amazon. Essentially, it's an AI program that would allow mass surveillance of Palestinian territories. Now, what she claims is that multiple illegal actions have been taken against her as a result of her opposition to this program. Now, she's lobbied executives, she's gotten people to sign petitions, and she's even gone to the media about what Google is doing to Palestinians at this time. Due to retaliation, a hostile working environment, and illegal actions taken by the company, I cannot continue to work at Google and have no chance but to leave the company at the end of this week. Instead of listening to employees who want Google to live up to its ethical principles, Google is aggressively pursuing military contracts and stripping away the voices of its employees through a pattern of silencing and retaliation towards me and many others. Google is weaponizing its DEI and ERG systems to justify this behavior. So it is no coincidence that retaliation has been disproportionately impacted women, queer, and BIPOC employees. I have consistently witnessed that instead of supporting diverse employees looking to make Google a more ethical company, Google systematically silences Palestinian, Jewish, Arab, and Muslim voices concerned about Google's complicity in violations of Palestinian human rights, to the point of formally retaliating against workers and creating an environment of fear. Now, she says that she has been punished as a result of her activism. Essentially, in November 2021, the company came to her and said, "Your position is moving. We're taking you from California to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and if you refuse to go along with it, you'll be fired." Now, she actually took this to the government, filed a complaint saying that this was illegal, that there was no justification for moving her position, and that this was just retaliation for the activism that she had carried out. Now, they came back and ruled fairly and freely, of course, that it was not a retaliatory measure and that what they're doing was perfectly legal. Now, this was the National Labor Relations Board, and they felt that this suspicious movement clearly was not in violation of employee rights. I'm sure it was. And this speaks to very much the very real nature of capitalism, and more particularly, in this case, the United States. And in this, we see the real face of what's going on with the general liberalization of society within capitalist imperialism, neoliberalism. Sure, many of the longtime marginalized voices are being lifted up. LGBTQ, many of the ethnic minorities, etc., are now being given positions of power and are being glorified in the media, etc. But this is not being extended to global people of color. They are being told very much to be silent, particularly Palestinians, of which Google, through their program, will be complicit in the genocide of. Because no matter how much capitalism tries to claim that it's progressive or that it's new or that it's trying to be inclusive or fairness and AOC and anything else like that, Ilhan Omar, it is still an oppressive capitalist system. And no amount of painting a smiley face on it is going to change that. It will not fundamentally change the face of capitalism, which is profit at any cost. Sure, they'll promote an employee of color, but they'll also shut that employee down as soon as it stands in the way of profits, or even questions the morality of what it's doing, even if it's something blatantly against the law, such as Israel's genocide against Palestinians. So, yeah, people of color, LGBTQ are being lifted up, but in reality, they may be getting a louder voice inside the United States, but they're certainly being silenced and killed around the world by that same system for its own profit. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.